Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. Welcome back to another News I Missed, where I go over news I missed. It says first they ignore you, then they fight you, then you win. The adage cannot hold truer when it comes to cryptocurrency markets. Is here alone. Banks like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and even the People's Bank of China, all anti-crypto at some point, have expressed their interest in offering cryptocurrency services to clients. While their reasons may range from collecting high processing fees instead of embracing the decentralized ethos of Bitcoin, the development marks a changing narrative in the digital asset space as far as traditional markets are concerned. Now, another American banking giant seems ready to take the plunge ahead, first into the crypto market. An image posted by a user on the Reddit cryptocurrency subreddit showed a Bank of America notice stating all cryptocurrency purchases will be treated as a cash equivalent. Here it is right here, little photo. This applies to all Bank of America credit card purchases of digital currencies, with no confirmation on how the bank treats debit cards or bank transfers for crypto transactions. As the image shows, terms and conditions under the types of transactions have changed to include cryptocurrencies as a cash equivalent. That in turn will be treated as a cash advance on purchases. Thread commentators noted cash advances attract the highest fees on Bank of America, about 5% on all transfers, or a minimum of $10, as noted by Wallet Hub. That's already a huge amount on the transaction front. 5% is actually completely insane. Like, imagine trying to send your friend a huge chunk of money and the bank has to take 5% of it. That's also a little bit obscene. This was, I mean, not that it was logically going to happen. A lot of banks have seemingly made a U-turn, but I don't think it's been a U-turn. I think it's just kind of always been this way since the very beginning. It's kind of the news that we had that a lot of banking institutions have actually been in cryptocurrency since around 2014 to 2017. Who knows exactly the exact reason why they were not allowing people to buy cryptocurrencies in 2017? I mean, here, I don't know. Maybe it was too quick, too soon for all of them. As far as, for those of you who are not here many moons ago, we had a situation where many people were trying to buy cryptocurrencies with their own money, either with a debit card or a credit card, and their transactions were being shut down because the bank statement said Coinbase or any other place they were trying to buy cryptocurrencies with fiat currencies, and they were shut down very quick immediately. So this was at some point logically, I'm going to say logically, was going to take place. Yeah, I mean, fairly popular news, what have you. I don't think this should be popular news at all. All banks in some way, I believe, are into cryptocurrencies at this point. Especially even the ones who keep saying that they hate it or don't really like it. All these banks right here and about 12 more at some point all came forward and said cryptocurrencies are terrible. If anyone in our unit, office, job space is using Bitcoin, has traded Bitcoin, you're going to be fired. And then lo and behold, all the banks love it as well. Anyway, that's the Bank of America news. And let's move on. Next up, taking a cue from countries already working on their central bank digital currencies, Thailand central bank digital currency has begun processing its digital currency, okay? With recent reports in the country, it is set to develop the prototype of the payment system for businesses using the digital currency. A lot of repetition there. The Bank of Thailand, the apex bank in the country, said in a press release that they understand the need to keep up with financial innovation to improve payment efficiencies. The project's goal mainly is to explore the currency scope and adoption, as implementation would only start with big firms. Bank of Thailand would also check with the prototype to see if they can aid increasing flexibility to transfer funds or deliver payments faster between suppliers. A lot of them have said that they're only going to start with banks and or larger firms. I think a portion of it has to do with the fact that a lot of these countries who are developing central bank digital currencies within their borders, their citizens already don't really I'm not going to say that I won't say that they don't trust their government, but there's usually a lack of a huge amount of skepticism when it comes to fiat currencies. And if countries released a fiat currency that was digitized in some sort of way that didn't really work, this is why I assume they're doing it with the larger firms and or banks first to kind of, really test it out. Because if you already don't like your fiat currency, don't really care for your country or your central bank, and they release something for you that doesn't end up working, shows a negative balance on your account as you're trying to take out money, people would simply go away from it and use other options right now. The only reason why we even have this discussion over and over is because a lot of people around the world have already been using either Bitcoin or stable coins to transact in value. We had this news, was it last year, that there are countries around the world who are choosing, like, what's the word? Merchants. When they're transacting between themselves, they're choosing to use stable coins because they don't share a similar currency between themselves. So they use the stable coins to actually transact in value. And also, I mean, the whole Libra thing, because Libra is supposed to be launching sometime this year, I think officially within the next 3 to 4 months. So this is why I think we're seeing this rev up of countries trying to make sure that they release their central bank digital currencies before. Here's the actual article right here, or a news press release from the Bank of Thailand. It says the Bank of Thailand announces the prototype development project of central bank digital currency. Was logically going to happen. All the banks in some way have this going. It's the same exact thing with the stimulus digital dollar. Pretty sure a lot of these countries already have a prototype, already have some type of a working thing, but they're just trying to figure out exactly how to release them, maybe at the same time or en masse, or get them interoperable. It's still going to be terrible. I'm not expecting any of these to really be winners. Because we've seen how things work before in the past, and I'm not assuming these are going to be the best things in the world when they do finally launch. Next up, a new report has confirmed the listing of Cardano on Paybito, a leading digital currency trading platform in the US. Recently, the exchange engaged in a crypto listing spree, which they added support for XRP and BAT. According to a press release on Tuesday, the San Francisco headquartered cryptocurrency exchange Paybito, it is literally Paybito, has included the native digital currency of Cardano to its list of supported assets. The listing of Cardano's ADA on Paybito is expected to increase crypto trading options for the US and global traders. As one can easily predict, the crypto exchange could be heading to garner a substantial share of the US crypto market. Amid the recent listing spree, notably, the U.S. has a significant number of cryptocurrency traders and investors with increased awareness of digital currencies in general. Assumption this was done because of the launch of Shelly, just assuming. But then the question also goes, I've seen a lot of people before in the comment section asking, how do they buy Cardano within the States? And that's mainly because Coinbase still has not added support for Cardano on their platform. I assumed that they would do so during the activation of Shelly, but apparently they still have not done so. Maybe they're waiting for the hard fork to take place, and then they're going to announce it as well, which would also be absolutely spectacular for the price of Cardano. But I guess if you're looking to get Cardano within the States, try Paybito. I don't know. I've never heard of Paybito, but apparently it's a thing. Do your own research, see if it's actually working good, if other people like the platform. But yeah, the listing of Cardano is completely logical. Everyone's trying to get in on it, as this is one of the most popular coins, and I assume it's going to be so for quite some time. Anyway, that's the Cardano news. Let's move on. Next up, it says it looks like North America is about to become a major player in the Bitcoin mining sector, thanks to companies like Core Scientific. The enterprise has already inked a deal with a mining equipment venture in Malaysia to purchase more than 17,500 Ant miner machines from Bitmain. The company has already gotten its hands on some of the machines and have installed them so that miners can begin extracting new coins. The rest of the machines are slated to arrive by the end of September. This represents a huge move for both America, and the mining sector in general for several reasons. One thing, mining ventures were largely impacted by 19. Many companies such as Riot Blockchain reporting hardware suffering brought on by the lack of mining operations and the lack of equipment sales, as many mining ventures, both large and small, were considered non-essential businesses. As a result, equipment was not being purchased and people were shutting their machines off as Bitcoin's price began to plummet like it had never plummeted before. Who wrote this article? Bitcoin's price plummeted like it never plummeted before. Riot blockchain was struggling each month just to break even, while other ventures such as digital farms in California said they would be shutting down indefinitely and couldn't give crypto players an idea as to when their doors would open back up again. That's what indefinitely. The point is, yeah, there was a lot of news. There was some last week. I didn't report on it, air quote, because it was like kind of cool, whatever. There's a lot of articles floating around talking about that countries in the West are starting to pick up their, what's the word? Initiative to begin mining cryptocurrencies more within their country. They expect a huge boom, if you will, within parts of the States, Canada, and northern parts of Europe, where it tends to be a bit cooler, as they try to take away mining percentage monopoly from China. I mentioned before why China has their grasp on it. It just has to do with the fact that they really figured out the benefits of it before. It's the same exact thing like the discussion we were having where we were talking about the actual price premiums in Japan and in South Korea, and why, for those of you who were not here in 2017 to 2018, and I mean until the beginning of that time when China started banning stuff, why China, South Korea, and Japan were kind of ruling the market. It's because they saw the benefit of all of this first, and they really got into it before other people. A lot of people, it's very difficult to explain. They just simply understood that this had a really big potential future ahead of it, while many other people were kind of just falling for the, I don't want to say the lies, or the information that banks were giving them that this is garbage, don't get into it. Like, remember, and for those of you who were here in 2017, how many articles were posted and created by banks saying, don't buy it, it's all a bubble, don't get into it, like when Bitcoin's price was around 7,000? Anyway, the point being, I assume we're going to have a huge uptick in the amount of companies who are going to start mining as well, because money and logic, it's fairly certain. Nothing is 100% confirmed, but it seems like Bitcoin is going to be around for a very long time. And as such, I assume these companies and institutions and banks probably want to acquire more, as there's a very finite amount of it floating around. But yeah, good for them. 17,500. That's a lot of machines to be able to mine a crypto. But yeah, let's move on. In a news story that's very 2020, Frenchman Alex Masmej, who's 23 years old, recently raised $20,000 on Ethereum by tokenizing himself. Now he wants his investors to vote on his life choices. His Control My Life experiment challenges token holders to tell him whether to take a run or to only eat veggies. This may sound a little self-indulgent. It actually sounds kind of stupid, but there's a bigger agenda here. It may even be a startup, according to Masmej. He's not sure. Of course he's not sure. Based in Paris during 19, Masmej is excited about his plans to move to San Francisco next year to work on several projects, including NFT DeFi startup Rocket. They had a conversation with him about tokenizing himself. This is almost completely in line with how the rest of the year has been going. I don't think any of us should be surprised that someone has tokenized themselves on the Ethereum. Even tokenizing themselves on the Ethereum blockchain is also completely in line with the theme of 2020 so far. Yeah, sure, why not at this point? I assume this is going to, and this is my assumption, this is going to become a very big thing in the future. I assume we're going to have many celebrities, and I want to say like B and C celebrities. I don't assume any big names are going to be doing this, but we're going to have a lot of them. We're going to start tokenizing themselves in an effort to raise money or do other things. But I'm telling you, they're going to start doing it, and they're going to ask people on social media platforms, tell me what to do next. Should I pet my dog? Should I eat something? But they'll have made millions of dollars, and it won't really matter to them in the first place. But yeah, I mean, we're in a very interesting timeline, because we're in the timeline where people tokenize themselves and let other people decide what they're going to do. This was also something a couple years ago as well. There was a guy in the States, I think he didn't tokenize himself, but he let people decide online what he was going to do with his life. And I think he made like, was it like $250,000 or something like that? And I think he used the money to go to university, which is also a lot of money to even have to pay for university. The point is, people like to do this and raise money to let people tell them what to do. So good for this guy. I assume he's just lit the fuse for other people to do this as well. So I guess none of us should really be surprised. Anyway, someone has tokenized themselves on Ethereum. You want to tell him if he should eat pizza or drink seltzer water, have at it. Next up, Zimbabwe Central Bank. This is a very interesting one. Zimbabwe Central Bank, seeking to block attempts to avoid the country's hyperinflation, halted all transactions conducted by mobile money agents this week and limited payment sizes through their processors. It says this impacts potentially up to 85% of all transactions. Residents with money stored in one of these mobile providers will need to visit a local bank to withdraw their funds. I'll explain all this in 1 second. It says in a statement, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe said the move is necessary to protect consumers on mobile money platforms, which have been abused by unscrupulous and nonpartisan individuals and entities to create instability and inefficiencies in the economy. Absolutely wonderful. I'll explain exactly what they should have said and what this all actually means. For those of you who do not know, there are many countries in the world, and Zimbabwe is one of them, where people actually use mobile minutes on their phone as a form of currency. You heard that right. It is not just Zimbabwe. It's many countries around the world, but Africa usually gets this title because of a thing called M-Pesa. It's kind of a money on your phone that acts as like a digital thing. So it's mobile minutes, but also can be used as a currency. There are many other startups and companies who have also done stuff like this. The issue comes from the fact that many people in these countries who are experiencing inflation or hyperinflation have chosen to use their mobile minutes as a form of currency over their actual current paper fiat currencies. Why? Because a minute remains a minute. Yeah, it's basically as simple as that. So a lot of people, you're able to actually, you can find documentaries on it. People actually go to markets and they buy food with their minutes because the minutes are more stable than the actual paper money that you may have in your wallet. It even says it right here, $100 trillion. This has happened multiple times over and over and over. Like there are many people, it's absolutely insane. So the idea that residents with money stored in these mobile providers needs to go visit a local bank to withdraw their funds to be able to get away from the stable currency to receive the country's crap currency so that they can go buy stuff as quickly as possible because the country's money continues to hyperinflate. So the idea isn't that it's being abused by unscrupulous and nonpartisan individuals, like it says right here, and entities to create instability and inefficiencies within the economy. Nope, that's the government. It's the government and the central bank. It's been a legacy of money mismanagement, and don't just assume that is just Zimbabwe. This is all around the world. It's just that theirs tends to make the news a lot more and a lot easier. But this is not the first country, even within the cryptocurrency space, that we've been talking about that this has been happening to. Huge amount of the problems are that this has been going on multiple times. This isn't the first government. This isn't the first central bank. What happens is that one gets in power, they destroy the economy. Someone else goes, I can be a better president and a better leader. We're going to make sure that this never happens again. 5 years later, it happens again. It happens over and over and over and over and over and over. But what ends up happening is that even if you're young, your parents have told you, your grandparents have told you exactly how garbage the legacy systems were and to not trust this new system. So imagine a situation where you trust the minutes on your phone more than you do the actual fiat currency coming from your country. Think of how insane that is. There's a movie with Justin Timberlake, I think it's called In Time, On Time, where they live on time. Like literally, like money is time and time is money. It's basically the exact same thing, and it's kind of completely insane to think about. So once again, it has nothing to do with the companies. It's companies creating these things so people have an alternative to be able to actually buy things. And it's the government's inefficiencies and instability that have caused complete havoc on the economy. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says Zimbabwe's government shuts down stock exchange to stabilize currency. Zimbabwe's government closes the stock exchange until further notice, leaving investors wondering what has happened to their money. It's been destroyed once again by another central bank. I mean, it's just so insane that this continuously happens over and over in history. The annoyance from me comes from the fact that we have an alternative. We have Bitcoin. I don't care what coin you want to use. We have Ethereum. We have XRP. We have Tron. Tron is more stable than Zimbabwe's currency. Same with Venezuela. Same with Lebanon. Same with all these other places around the world. And yet, what will end up happening is just an assumption. The currency will collapse. It'll completely fall apart. They'll have to ask other countries, please help us. We need your money. People will lose all their money in the stock markets and many other places. And then what ends up happening is someone else will come into power. This will never happen again. And the entire cycle continues until people realize that they could have gotten into Bitcoin 10 years ago. And I don't mean like 2010 wise. I mean, in 2030, we're going to have a lot of people going, I wish I had gotten into Bitcoin in 2020. This happens over and over. This isn't brand new news. This is only going to continue happening. Think of how absurd that is. I'm telling you, find the documentaries on it. People use mobile money minutes as a form of currency because it's better than what's happening from their government. And it impacted 85% of all transactions. Do you understand how huge that is? How often that's actually being used? That means that people in that country found an alternative. They were using mobile payments as a way to not have to worry about hyperinflation so that they can actually feed their families and live a normal life. And the government was like, nope, no, shutting it all down. Doesn't work. You're causing instability within our country. Crazy, right? How you can destroy something and then blame other people for what you destroyed. Crazy times to live in. The point being, very big news. People are barely talking about it. These are, if there was a more obvious time to get into Bitcoin, I mean, it's clearly just right now. Part of my issue always is that these countries would benefit the most, the absolute most from Bitcoin. But then you also have the situation that we were talking about before. There was a guy from Africa. He was on a podcast last year. He was saying a lot of these central banks have gone onto the news and told people that Bitcoin is dangerous, it's terrible, and not to use it. And people in these countries think that Bitcoin is banned when it's actually not banned because the government has no power, because it's decentralized, to actually ban these currencies. But a lot of people are afraid of even talking about Bitcoin because to them it's something illegal when it's not. All these people could be hyper benefiting from it if, I guess, there was more education as to, you can use. Anyway, the point is, garbage, absolute garbage. Tons of people are going to lose their money. I wonder if we're going to have another situation where all these banks stop allowing people to actually withdraw their money completely, and the stock exchange just simply doesn't come back for a couple of days, and people start losing their money as the stocks go down. Yeah, Bitcoin solves all of this completely and immediately. And the more people around the world that got into Bitcoin, the more that the price of Bitcoin would rise and also stabilize and would be a lot less volatile. So let's move on. Next up, what a photo. Prominent angel investor and internet entrepreneur Jason Calacanis says 99% of altcoin projects are garbage, run by unqualified individuals, but holds out hope for the 1% with the power to change the world. According to a tweet posted on the 27th of June, the angel investor behind Uber and Robinhood, he said nearly all of the crypto projects around the world are under the control of unqualified idiots or grifters with below average skills. He said historically 99% of crypto projects are run by garbage management change the world. He said, I'm waiting for that 1% to deliver their product so I can talk to their customers. You got customers? Question mark. However, there's a lot of vowels. Calacanis stated that the projects with the most potential lacking these undesirable qualities are what perks his interest. I'm waiting for the 1% to deliver their product so I can talk to their customers. Sure, this made a lot of fuss. I didn't talk about it because why not? I'll tell you right now about, I think 99 is a very big number. I'll say 98.9% of cryptocurrency projects are complete garbage. I've been telling everyone for a while. Remember, even like when we look at prices and there are coins that have like $8,000 daily volume, and they're like coin number 38 or 39 out of 50. A lot of these projects you will never hear from again. I've heard the argument before that people use altcoins to make extra money to then push into Bitcoin. This is very dangerous, and not everyone knows how to time the market correctly. So a lot of people end up losing their money when it just would have been safer if they had aimed for the blue chips. Anyway, yeah, totally. I definitely agree. I think a lot of people assume that their coins are going to make it, not really understanding what's taking place. However, that's that news that I missed. And let's move on. Next up, probably one of my favorite news articles. Bitcoin has had a relatively shaky year in many ways, and according to the analyst Tone Vase, things are not going to go great during the rest of this year. Vase recently took to social media to explain that Bitcoin is not going to hit 10,000 until 2021. Ooh. In fact, the cryptocurrency could even fall further to around $6,000 before any major move comes. During a YouTube live stream, Vase commented, "Like I've been saying for months now, I have no reason to walk away from my prediction early in the year that Bitcoin is going to get stuck between 6,000 and 10,000 for the majority of this year." The currency initially reached 10,000 mark in February following a disappointing 2019. It did pretty. Bitcoin dropped to 3,000 and then floated up to 14,000 in 2019. At the time, the currency was ending the year just over 7,000. Though this took a positive turn in January that saw the digital asset expanding before this figure and added hundreds and even thousands to its price over the course of 30 days. By February, Bitcoin had reached a 5-figure position that many analysts thought would last for some time. And then we had 19, and reality set back in, or rather we were told that reality set back in because prices started dropping, even though Bitcoin has no direct correlation to stocks and or equities. The point being is that this person, once again, has noted that Bitcoin is not going to go back above 10,000. As the internet exists, you can find tons of other articles from last year where he and others said that Bitcoin was going to drop to 1,000. Bitcoin was going to 1,600. What were the other really crazy ones? I think it was that Bitcoin wouldn't rise at all last year, and then Bitcoin hit 14,000 once again, and everyone stopped talking because 14,000 is a really big number that they all thought that it wouldn't be able to go to. And now this year, we're getting the news that Bitcoin won't hit 10,000 again this year. The crazy part is that last year, we also had that same exact news from he and many other people who said that Bitcoin would not move at all in price until 2020. And then we got to 2020. Now the news that we're getting is 2021. So just assume that by 2021, we are going to start receiving news that Bitcoin's price from these people won't move again until 2022. Not sure what charts they're using, if they know how numbers work. But yeah, one of my favorite news stories. I love hearing stuff like this because eventually when Bitcoin does hit 10,000, or 10,500 or 11,000 again, or maybe even the magical 14,000, they will then continue to say that Bitcoin is looking bearish. There's a couple of people in the cryptocurrency space who make sure to always note and mention that regardless of how high Bitcoin is, regardless of the fundamentals, regardless if we're seeing a huge spike in trading volume, that for some reason Bitcoin is looking bearish to them and that Bitcoin has to drop in price. So I guess we'll revisit this article when Bitcoin passes by 10,000 again this year, just because, you know. And to finish things off, Hong Kong-based crypto derivatives giant BitMEX announced it is planning to launch corporate services for customers at the exchange. Wonderful. Hong Kong-based cryptocurrency derivatives exchange giant BitMEX is launching a new service on its platform with benefits. Okay, that makes sense. With benefits for its corporate clients. The new program includes enhanced security service and accounting. Announced, according to the announcement by BitMEX, the exchange is launching a new feature for its corporate customers. BitMEX Corporate, that's a name. Accounts on BitMEX that are not owned, that are not owned and operated. I'm like sitting in this really weird position for some reason. What's wrong with me? That are not owned and operated by an individual can now ensure that BitMEX holdings are the corporate's legal property. Okay. The crypto derivatives exchange BitMEX noted that the new features were created for clients who needed different ownership structures for their accounts, which includes the means for their employees to access and manage accounts and security requirements. However, the exchange also stated that options like multi-user login and instant transfers between accounts would be available later this year. The exchange revealed that the new feature would include dedicated client coverage relationship manager and access to corporate global events for its corporate clients. Hong Kong-based BitMEX is among the leading crypto derivative services in the world. Sure. This was also quite popular news about a day or two ago, that BitMEX, like many other platforms, they're adding an institutional corporate thing to their website, which allows rich people to store their money. So this was logically going to happen, and it's happened. There's a reason why it's called News I Missed. Because, I mean, there can be like a slight twinge of significance, but normally the news is a little kind of out there, like people digitizing themselves or hyperinflation and all that other stuff. Anyway, BitMEX has added a new feature for rich people. Let's just hope that BitMEX and Coinbase have been updating their systems enough so that when we do pass by 10,000, that there are no more outages. Just gonna say that. I do hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.